Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Rookie Card Collector 123 video. Today's video, finally getting a chance to put out my 2026 National Card Show recap. When I got back home, my son is going to be starting his last year of middle school next week on Monday. So I had a lot of family activities and shopping and various other things to do that kind of took up the whole week, and time just flew by. So finally getting a chance here on Saturday morning to put out my my national recap. So I'm going to talk about my pickups from the show. As the title suggests, most of my pickups focus more on rarity than specific players or sets or even values. And on the selling side was another great show for me. I had my moments where I got pretty nervous this year, considering how big the crowd was. My opening day sales were not that fantastic. My second day was the best day of the show. That tends to be the case every year when I set up at the National. And then Friday, Saturday, although probably the most volume of people coming through, again, sales were decent, but nothing fantastic. And it looked like I was going to fall somewhat short of expectations, considering going into Sunday. Excuse me. Sunday is normally the lowest sale day of the 5-day show. But fortunately for me, Sunday ended up rescuing the entire show for the most part. Sunday ended up being my second best day of the entire 5-day event. And it brought my sales numbers right up, almost identical to last year, 2025, which was my best-selling national ever. So super happy with the results from the show. The trip to Chicago had a few hiccups with the plane flights and the hotel stay. I did not shell out the money to stay within walking distance of the show. I stayed a couple of miles down the road, and I guess the old adage, you get what you pay for, definitely came into play in this case. And possibly next time I'll change my mind on that. But anyway, without further ado, like I said, I'm going to start out by showing my pickups. Then I'm going to talk about all the cards I sold at the show, at least the highlights, and kind of my thoughts on the market going into the show, and where this leaves me from a collector and from a dealer standpoint after the show now is over. So the first item I picked up, actually 3 of my pickups and 3 of my favorite pickups all came from the same dealer. He's an old Net 54 friend. I originally from New Jersey, and he also is in New Jersey. So we used to see each other quite often at the Philadelphia card shows and the White Plains, New York shows, and Long Island, Nassau Coliseum shows back in the 90s. So longtime friend. I know he does a lot of 19th century, a lot of early 20th century pre-war. A lot of baseball, also a lot of non-sports, and specializes in rare stuff, which was a major focus of mine, has become a major focus of mine over the past, I would say, year to 2 years. Most of the pieces I picked up during that time that I take the greatest pride in owning are super rare pieces, and preferably big name Hall of Famers when I get the chance and I can afford them. So the first one I'm going to show here is coming from that dealer. His first name is Glenn, and it's you can see here, hopefully you can see well enough on the screen the images. It's a pocket knife, and the knife itself is in really nice condition. It's dated 1910, he told me, circa 1910. It's put out by the Novelty Cutlery Knife Company. And the Novelty Cutlery Knife Company is the same company that put out the 1910 postcard set. of major league players. And if you saw my pre-national video, what I was looking to buy at the National, the number one item on my list was a 1910 Novelty cutlery postcard that pictured Honus Wagner and Ty Cobb shaking hands before the 1909 World Series. Well, spoiler alert, unfortunately, I did not pick up that postcard at the show. I had very little chance to walk around, so unless one came up to the table, I was not going to be getting it. But anyway, so this knife produced Novelty Cutlery, produced the same 1910 season. And it's unique in that it features National League All-Stars on the front of the knife. And then if you turn it over in a minute, I'm going to show the back. And that's got the American League All-Stars. So on the front here, we've got, hopefully you can see in the center image is the famous Honus Wagner T206 Carl Horner portrait. And really nice, clear image of that one. Right below him is Christy Mathewson. And below that one is Frank Chance. So you got 3 National League Hall of Famers. Above Wagner, you've got Red Doohan and Sam Frock, 2 other stars from the National League during the turn of the century. And then I'm going to show you now the back. Okay, and like I said, the back has the American League stars here. Again, hopefully you can see these images. The National League ones were a little bit more bold, but a few of these are pretty recognizable. The top image is Tris Speaker. Underneath him is Nap Lajoie. Below Lajoie is Ty Cobb. Below Cobb is, it's either Eddie Collins or Hal Chase. And then Chase or Collins is the one underneath that. And at the very bottom is Ed Walsh, the Chicago White Sox starting pitcher. So 6 American Leaguers on the back, 5 National Leaguers on the front. The front had 3 Hall of Famers. The back has 5 Hall of Famers. So a total of 8 Hall of Famers on this incredible piece. And again, put out by Novelty Cutlery. So the fact that I never was able to pick up that postcard with Wagner and Cobb on it, picking up this item from the same company, the same year, and many of the images on this pocket knife are identical to the postcards. So obviously Novelty Cutlery owned the rights to those images and used them for multiple purposes, including the postcard set as well as these pocket knives. Glenn told me there's less than 10 of these known to exist. He said probably, if he had a guess, maybe around 8 copies. I've seen one or 2 over the years. I know they exist. I've seen them in auction catalogs a couple of times, but you never find them even at a National or Strongsville or anything like that. I've also seen individual teams. I've seen a Detroit Tigers one, which covers the players mainly from 07 to 09, the years that the Tigers won the American League pennant, and also the 1910 to 1914 Philadelphia Athletics during their first dynasty under Connie Mack. But this one's my favorite, of course, of all, because you got the American and National League All-Stars. You got Wagner, Cobb, and Mathewson on the same piece. And just truly an incredible item. Funny thing with this item, though, the pocket knife, I picked it up the first day at the show when I was walking the row right next to me because I couldn't venture too far away from the booth. And that's where Glenn's table was. And this is the first thing I bought from him out of the 3 items. And the really funny thing was I got back to the hotel that night and I'm looking at the pocket knife, admiring it and all. And I don't know what made me think about this, but I'm like, I'm not going to be able to bring this on the plane to go back home because it's a weapon. It's a knife, and you can't go through security. They won't allow this to go through. And I don't want to run into a problem and have to make a decision about, take it or whatever. So since I identified it so early on in the show, I worked out arrangements with a friend of mine who's going to be I'm going to be meeting in Pennsylvania next month at the Philly show, and he was going to drive it back for me, and I'm going to get it from him in Philly and take care of it over there. But kind of a unique situation that added an extra twist to the purchase of this amazing piece. Okay, we're going to move on to the second item now. And this was a walk up to the table. And not too often you get somebody walking up to the table with an E107 Bryce Williams card from 1903, picturing a Hall of Famer. And the card, as you can see here, the front of the card is in pristine condition. Like this is probably a 4 or a 5 grade, just based on the front. The back of the card, which I didn't take a picture of to show here, the back of the card has the advertising on the back, which is the preferred one. There's some of them, or most of them, are blank on the back, but some have advertising promoting 150 ball players in the set. Mine has the advertising, but it has 2 dots of paper loss, where a little bit of the font is missing from the wording. And that's what brought the grade down to the 1.5, which made it affordable for me. And I didn't actually end up buying this card. I'm not really an Elmer Flick collector, and I never even owned actually a Bryce Williams card before. These are usually, way too expensive for the guys I like to collect. Could never afford a Wagner or a Christy Mathewson or Cy Young or anybody like that. But this walked up, and the guy was interested in a few cards. I had a Mayo Cap Anson. I think I showed that in my pre-national video, what I was going to bring to sell. So I had the Mayo Anson. It was authentic altered. One corner on the bottom of it had some sort of wear that was a little bit odd. So we're guessing that probably was what PSA picked up as being the alteration. But, overall, it was a super clean card, great image, no creases or anything. So his main interest was that Cap Anson. So I ended up trading him the Anson, a spick and span Hank Aaron, which was a PSA 4.5, and also a 36 Gaudy wide pen Joe DiMaggio rookie card, the one with Joe McCarthy on it. So it was those 3 cards for this one. And this one is probably going to be, it'll be in my collection for now. It might not be a long-term hold for me. Like I said, I'm not collecting Bryce Williams necessarily, and I'm not really collecting Elmer Flick either. But I just appreciate the rarity of finding a Bryce Williams card of a Hall of Famer that's in as pristine a condition as this one is. So I'm going to enjoy it for now while I have it. And my second rare pickup, most of these Bryce Williams card populations are around 10 or so for somebody like Flick, I believe. Okay, we're going to move on to the third pick. Okay. Sorry for the delay. Things moving a little slow. Okay, this was, along with the pocket knife, I would say this is probably my favorite or co-favorite that I got. And these are super rare. This is the 1910 American Caramel die cut. So they're cataloged as E125 in the American card catalog. And these come with stands on the bottom where you could actually stand this player up like on a table. And a lot of times the stands had to be folded. A lot of times the pieces of the back either tore off or broke off the more times you folded and unfolded them. So the vast majority of these E125s, when you do find them, which is very, very rare to begin with, if you do find them, the majority of them are in authentic condition due to the damage or missing pieces on the bottom. They also have, the player has, due to the die cut nature, due to the die cut nature, some of the baseball equipment like gloves and bats and balls and stuff that appear on these stick out from the player image, and a lot of times those pieces of baseball equipment are torn off because they're protruding, outside the main card space. So a lot of them are authentic because of that, for that reason as well. But this one is not. It's a PSA 2, and it presents super clean. If you look under a microscope like PSA does, you can probably find, a couple of surface wrinkles somewhere on there, as it's a very large card. But to me, is way nicer than a 2 grade. And Collins, of course, is not only a Hall of Famer, but certainly an upper tier Hall of Famer. Not quite at the Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner level, but certainly not a marginal guy either. And I've been trying to hunt one of these down ever since I missed out on a Christy Mathewson in an auction last year. And I'd love to get the Wagner, but unfortunately the Wagner's way out of my price range in today's world. And I haven't seen another Mathewson come up available yet. So Collins was probably the next best thing. I did find out later on from another dealer that somebody else had a Tris speaker, and one of my buddies from YouTube was fortunate enough to pick that one up. So I'm sure he's going to probably show it at some point. So I'm not going to ruin the surprise for that. But Super Eddie Collins, really nice, clean, rare card. E125 American Caramel die cut. This was another pickup from Glenn. This is the second card. I don't know if I mentioned that already. Okay, we're going to move on to the fourth pickup now. Okay. Okay, this was my third and final pickup from Glenn. This was the last one I picked up. I believe this was on Thursday. This is, again, another very rare card. These are kind of like a team cabinet card, but they're not the traditional cabinet where you have a photo that's mounted on a thick cardboard back. This is more like an advertising piece. It's from 1886. It's put out, the advertising on the bottom shows it's the Lori Lard Tobacco Company. So similar to most of the 1880s, Old Judge and Allen and Ginter, most of the baseball player issues put out were Tobacco Company. We had not reached the candy or gum era yet. Very rare to find anything other than tobacco from the 1800s. But 1886 Lori Lard, and you can see this is a team composite. And this is the Detroit American League, or not really, the American League didn't exist, the Detroit National League team. I believe they were called the Wolverines before the Tigers. And this one has 4 Hall of Famers pictured on it, which is one of the main reasons why I got it. The right-hand side, the second player up from the bottom, is Dan Browthers. He's probably the biggest name, the biggest star on here, one of my favorite 19th century guys. He's pictured on there. Below him is Deacon White, another Hall of Famer who got into the Hall of Fame much more recently. And on the left side of the card, the second player down from the top is Sam Thompson, third Hall of Famer, also starred for the Philadelphia team along with Detroit back in the 1800s. And right in the center above the baseball diamond was the player would become manager later on, Ned Hanlon. He's the fourth Hall of Famer pictured on there. In the back of this, I didn't take pictures, but the back shows the schedule for the Detroit club from 1886. Of course, 1886 was the year before the vast majority of the old Judge cards were put out. So for the four Hall of Famers that I mentioned, this 1886 Lori Lard card predates the old Judge cards for them by 1 year. So sort of a pre-rookie, even though it's a team card and technically not really qualifying for rookie. When you get back to 1880s, you kind of take what you can get for the most part. Excuse me. So again, not too often do I pick up team pieces, but this one I thought was really cool. Back in the day, I had the Chicago team, which has Cap Anson and King Kelly on it. And I also had the Philadelphia team, which had Harry Wright when he was the manager. And the only one I never had, there was four different ones. The New York Giants, which was the toughest and the most Hall of Famers on it, was the one I never have been able to pick up. So now we're going to move on to the number 5, my number 5 pickup. Okay. This was the only one that was a prearranged deal, and value-wise, maybe the biggest card I picked up at the show. This is the 1910 Orange Borders candy card of Ty Cobb. As you can see here, it's got very thin orange borders around the edges, but unfortunately too thin to have PSA graded with a numerical grade. So that's why it received an authentic. There's not enough of the borders showing. But really clean card, no creases or anything. Nice image. And the back is blank. The back had some staining, if I recall. I don't have a picture of the back. But I already had the Wagner from this set, the orange border set. So the Cobb makes a really nice complement to that one. And have been looking for that for a while. Also looking for the Mathewson orange border, which I know Sammy picked one up at the National. And again, congratulations to him. That was a great pickup as well. So Orange Borders Cobb, these were cut out from a candy box, similar to several other candy sets from that era, the 1910 era. And Ty Cobb. And the last one I'm going to just show real quick. It's not a rarity. It was part of a trade. Again, part of a sale. It was more like a sell trade transaction. I sold an O-Pee-Chee Wayne Gretzky, and the buyer was a little short in cash. He pulled out this Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, 1980, 81 Topps basketball rookie with Dr. J in the middle. It's a PSA 8. It was a sharp card. The centering was off both ways, left to right, top to bottom. Certainly not a card I would have gone out and bought, but it helped get the deal done. I got a decent amount of cash for my Gretzky, so I went ahead and did that. So this will definitely be for sale at a future show. This is not a card that I'm going to be looking to keep. But still a cornerstone for the Basketball Hall of Fame rookie card collector. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the segment of the video. This first part took a little long, so I'm going to go more quickly, breeze through these. These are the major cards that I sold. I also had brought along consignments from a good friend of mine, and they were mainly Cuban baseball cards. Some of them were Negro League players, some of them were U.S. players, and I'm very happy to report, and the consignor is very happy to report that I sold every single one of his consignments that I brought with me. So he was thrilled with the prices he got, and I'm not going to obviously read off all of his stuff, but I'm going to read off some of the stuff I sold or traded. The first one on here was part of that Elmer Flick E107 Bryce Williams, was the Mayo Anson. That was a PSA authentic. I sold the 39 play ball Ted Williams, 47 Bond Bread Jackie. That's the one with the beveled corners, not the 13 card set. 49 Bowman Jackie, 54 Topps Aaron, 55 Topps Clemente, 61 Fleer Chamberlain, 79 O-Pee-Chee Gretzky. That was part of that Larry Bird Magic Johnson deal. 1909 Home Run Baker E90-1 rookie card. Turkey Red Eddie Collins. Boston American postcard Tris Speaker. A Negro League photo with Cristobal Torriente and Bombín Pedroso on the Cuban Stars. Trinidad EEO Cuban Premium Babe Ruth with Rogers Hornsby. Those two guys together. 1929 Exhibit 4-on-1 Melot. 1933 DeLong Jimmy Fox. 1936 R314 Joe DiMaggio rookie. That was part of the Elmer Flick deal as well. 1939 to 46 Exhibit Autograph DiMaggio. 1954 Spick and Span Aaron. That was the last part of that Elmer Flick trade. And finally, a 1966 Philadelphia Gale Sayers rookie card. So those were some of the highlights I sold. I mentioned I sold all my friends' Cuban baseball cards. So it was a great show in terms of what I picked up. Great show for sales. It matched my my best national ever from last year, from 2025. Last year I made 2 huge pickups, which were above the level of things I got this year. So I didn't quite wasn't quite able to match those, but those kind of items you never really expect to find, and to get 2 in 1 year was just really crazy. But anyway, I was going to put out a video before the National, just sort of my take on where the market was at. And after thinking it over a little more, I decided maybe it was not in my best, excuse me, not in my best interest to put that video out. So I waited till afterwards. But my opinion on things, I set up at Strongsville. I had a phenomenal show in Strongsville, my best show anywhere ever, in April this year, 2026. And the market was strong at that point. It had been strong for a couple of months, and only got stronger after Strongsville. I think I probably sold myself short on a bunch of stuff I sold, looking back on it now. What I sold it for in April was up even higher in May and June and July. But you don't know what the future brings. So anyway, going into the National, many YouTubers are putting out videos about prices expected to be outrageous and the market's red hot, and excuse me. And my opinion on the market, as I started to look up things on VCP as I was pricing my stuff for the show, my thought was that the market had kind of sort of reached a plateau where it was rising all the way through, April, May, June. And my opinion, by July, it seemed like prices were not really going up a whole lot anymore. And maybe the market kind of reached some sort of a plateau. at least the type of stuff, that I collect or I buy and sell. So, of course, I'm there at the show at the National, and everybody's thinking prices are going up and up and up, and I'm selling my stuff there. So, of course, I want the perception to be that the stuff is going to continue going up and up. So I opted not to put that video out. Not that my input is going to change the hobby market, obviously, but just thought that it probably was not a good idea, so I didn't do it. But before going into the National, that was my thought, was that things seem to have kind of, leveled off in terms of some of the crazy price increases. And that might not be true for specific things, but for the majority of stuff that I buy, sell, trade, it seems like maybe that's the case. So, but I'm happy with what I sold. Looking forward to the other things that did not sell. I'll probably have in Strongsville next year in April available, and see where the market is. That's another 8 months away at this point almost. So who knows what the future brings. But another great 2026 National. Just wanted to wrap everything up in this video, and hope you guys enjoyed it, like the pickups. Have a great day, and catch you guys again on the next one.